Hi, I'm Tito Singh, Chief Revenue Officer of Tegra118. Welcome to our first video in our Tegra118 Partnership and Strategic Alliances series. Joining me today is Matt Johnston, CEO of Red Rock Strategic Partners. We're here to talk about a newly created partnership between Tegra118 and Red Rock Strategic Partners, and the value this partnership brings to our clients and the industry as a whole. Matt, so glad to have you here today. Can you share more about Red Rock Strategic Partners and how you have been successful in helping firms through their challenges?
Sure, Tito. Thanks for having me today. Excited to be with you on this. You know, the idea of our firm was really born out of 15 years of experience in the financial services industry, and what I'd found in being a part of larger firms was that firms tended to really focus on strategy and be kind of long on strategy and very short on execution. So we sort of felt, as former advisors in our firm, former managers, former leaders, that with some experience and some empathy, that we could be very helpful as an extension of our clients' leadership teams, really centering around the execution equation. And so we've been doing that since 2010.
Wow. So speaking of extension, Matt, Red Rock Strategic Partners will now operate as an extension of the Tegra118 team. Can you tell us how working together we can help clients and the industry better leverage their technology investment to uncover the real ROI?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me begin by, kind of where we entered into this partnership. So our firm really focuses in on 4 core areas. One would be validating a company's strategy, right? Are they going in the right direction? Is it a smart move to move into new markets or invest in certain populations or whatever? The second then is to look at the platform and the model that they're going to market with to ensure that that platform or model is an accelerant to that strategy, or could it in fact be a detractor of that strategy? Then we move into productivity. How do you get advisors, bankers, professionals to engage in that platform to accelerate revenue growth? And then finally, how do you sustain the trajectory in the future? So that made, I think, a great opportunity for us to come together, as Tegra118 was really looking to create a new brand in the marketplace, which was very exciting. So I think there are 3 or 4 things that we're working on right now. One is what I would call health checks, which is basically an assessment of that strategy and that model and platform. So as they think about technology investments, where are they focused? Are they making the right investments? What does their technology roadmap look like? Where are they underutilizing certain aspects of their platform? And where could they enhance other aspects of their platform? And so I think that's an important element to ensuring that Tegra118 is really successful with their clients, by doing that upfront assessment or health check to figure out sort of where the firm is going and how Tegra118 can play a significant role in the short, intermediate, and long term. Second major area is particularly when there's a distribution angle, right? When there's an advisor population, how will advisors really leverage these tools and technology? How do we connect the dots strategically, both with Tegra118 and the client, to make sure that we have sort of this seamless process, so there's no struggle between the purchase and the utilization of the technology from the advisor or banker or RIA firm or insurance company, et cetera. And I think that's an important aspect to distribution. Third is maybe the most important, Tito, and I think where we've had a lot of conversations early on, is adoption of technology.
Right.
Technology is a significant investment, as you well know, whether they're buying pieces and parts or whether they're investing in really new and innovative technological solutions. And it's important that they get an adoption rate that is significant. And as we look across the landscape, banks, for example, invest heavily in financial planning technologies, aggregation tools, sort of that front end engine of which Tegra has a significant presence. And what we found is that the adoption rates tend to be in the 10 to 20 to 25% range when they really should be in the 50, 60, 70% range, right? But the advisor hasn't really understood how to adopt the technology. What's the rationale? What's the story to the client? How do we make clients' lives better as a result of some innovative tools and technology versus this is just something that the firm is pushing on us to implement? So I think those are the major ways in which we can engage, and I'm excited about that opportunity.
Absolutely, Matt. You've hit some key points here. I've spent over 25 years working in the front-end technology business, and change can be a nasty word for the advisors. Where you come in is so critical, especially all the way when you look at the spectrum of advice to adoption, right? It's important for us as a technology platform provider to have a partner like you to ensure not just successful execution, but successful adoption. And the ROI is maximized for the end customers. I see Red Rock Strategic Partners as the glue between us and a client's aspirations.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And that's a great question also, Tito. I think many leaders, whether they describe it this way or not, they're particularly via the pandemic, the economic downturn, and the change in demographics, they're rethinking distribution. And some firms are even reimagining distribution. And I think in doing that, they're specifically thinking about, how do we differentiate ourselves from the competition?
Right.
Unfortunately, they're trying to manage that with how do we create the least amount of disruption, both for our advisors and for our technology teams, as we possibly can in that process. I also think that firms are, again, and I think the pandemic has simply accelerated this, looking for omni-channel technology and tools. Right? How do we create an experience that's not only differentiated, but feels seamless as clients' wealth management needs change, as they move into different stages of life, for example, as they sell businesses, as they retire, as they inherit money, et cetera. How do those experiences operate seamlessly? And then finally, I think finally what they're talking to us about, and I think talking to you about as well, is it's become ever more difficult to gather new clients. Even in a bank environment where there is tons and tons of customers in branches, how do we harvest those opportunities and create a seamless experience to move someone from being a customer to what I call a client, which is someone who buys products and services from us? That would be a customer, to a client, which is someone who wants us to give them advice and counsel on the bulk of their financial issues and concerns.
Right. That's a great point, Matt. So let me expand on that a little bit more. In what's out in the marketplace and what you shared as the adoption rate being so low, 15 to 20% is what you mentioned. Is it because they're using, in terms of tools, something that's mass customized versus hyper personalized?
I think you're on the right track, Tito. And as we talk to clients, we feel that it's a little bit like 5-year-old soccer to some degree, right? What is everybody else using? And let's just follow the ball. If they're using it, we should use it too.
Correct.
And I think that, to your point, leads to sort of this mass personalization. The other thing I think is that advisors' competency levels have to catch up to the tool set. So if I don't have the competency to have the conversation with the client, the tool may be, sort of ahead of me to some degree.
Right.
And so we've got to make sure that that the advisors understand how to articulate the value in the technology, how they communicate a solution relative to the tool that they're utilizing, and that they understand, how to make that a compelling component of their value proposition.
Agreed.
We often say to advisors, if you don't let your clients know how valuable you can be, they'll never know. And so
Agreed.
while the technology that they use may be cutting edge, if it's either A, dormant, or B, not communicated to the client that we're constantly evolving our technology and tools to better serve your needs, the client will never really know.
Absolutely. That's a great point. So let's pick up on the technology per se, given the fact that digitalization has been accelerated due to the pandemic. What used to be a 2-3 year plan out from the CEOs and CIOs of the firms has now been accelerated and is being implemented now, right? We have no choice. So what are you hearing from your customers, especially the CIOs and CTOs, and what are the challenges given today's accelerated environment?
Well, there's more technology out there than ever before, right? So part of their challenge is, what do I need? What's right for my firm? What's right for my client demographic, et cetera. The second is that you can see the sweat running off of the chief technology officer's brow as they think about disruption and migration of data, right? So how many people are we going to have to put against this shift from one piece of technology to another? Do these complement each other? Are there integrations or APIs built that we can leverage today? They're thinking about those sort of the harnessing of data attributes. I think those are some important aspects that they're dealing with today. And then, sort of finally is we better make sure that this stuff works together.
Absolutely. You hit a key point. The demand in the industry is a bilateral data integration all the way from planning to performance reporting and back. So you have a dynamic living plan for the advisor and the customers. And Tegra118 is at the forefront of that technology. So let's move from the advisor and the CIOs to more broadly about the industry. And when you look at the industry, the banking, the insurance, and the wealth, what do you see in the future of these industries?
Well, first of all, it's, a broad answer would be relevance and continuing to evolve. And in that, I think there's one primary area is that firms are going to have to shift and look at two specific customer bases. So the first one would be the millennials and the way that the millennials want to engage. Mm-hmm. They certainly want advice. They certainly want planning, but they want an all digital communication system. And I think firms from a compliance perspective, from a social media perspective, et cetera, are grappling with, how to do that. And I think the larger firms are struggling even more because they have a broader universe of advisors to oversee. The second group is those baby boomers who are really now dealing with a totally different issue, right? Which is income certainty for about 30 years post-retirement, and really ensuring that they have enough to live on, that they have the appropriate amount of income to do the things that they want to do to live out a fulfilling retirement. And that's really not been in the firm's, discussion bank, right? The bulk of wealth has really been in the accumulator phase, not really in the distribution phase. Right. And now that's a different dialogue, a different set of decisions, and a different conversation. And in fact, I know you all are seated well in that space.
Yes, correct. With Tegra118 RetireUp, which is our retirement planning solution, you're right when you tie the pieces that firms have been focused on in the last few years. firms have been focused on accumulation of wealth and not so much on the decumulation of wealth. And that is a pending demand and need from the customers, and especially the baby boomers. When you look at them, they have spent all these years building out their retirement egg, nest egg, if you would. And now the concern is, how do I protect that nest? What does the income stabilization look like given the volatility in the marketplace, the health crisis that's going around us, right? And that is, how does the advisor take the customer across their life journey, factoring in what we call the financial wellness? And that is going to be a major focus for all of us for the next couple of years.
You even think about how investors have thought about the accumulation phase. It's been in a portfolio, right, built of investments, of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and cash, allocated based on outcomes, based on specific goals, et cetera. Now, in that decumulation phase, we've got to look at permanent sources of income. And so the scary factor for investors is the fluctuations in the market that create the uncertainty, sort of coupled with, do I have a pension and will I be able to use it? What impact will Social Security have? What impact will, Medicare and Medicaid have on my livelihood in the future, if any? These are important questions for financial wellness in the future.
Absolutely, which is why annuities are making such a big comeback. And as a single source of income, we are seeing a confluence in the industry of insurance coming into wealth and wealth advisory going into insurance. We've been spending a lot of time at Tegra118 to leverage the data analytics, the RPA tools, the AI and machine learning to create and develop what's called the next best action for our customers so they can better advise their customers even more effectively, more proactively. So Matt, what can our customers expect from this partnership in the future? And where do you see the biggest changes happening? And how can we address these challenges together to keep our clients growing and the business growing and succeed?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think our clients engage us to be unbiased. And our clients will always experience collectively an unbiased view of their business. And one of the reasons that we partnered with Tegra118 is because we know from you and Cheryl Nash, all the way down, that you are focused and committed to clients' best interest, whether it fits inside of the Tegra118 ecosystem or not. And so we want to provide an unvarnished, unbiased view of how a firm can be incredibly successful. Second thing is, we want to make sure that as they engage with Tegra118, their odds of success are absolutely maximized. And we sort of spoke about this modernization, this digitization, and then this adoption of those components. We want to collectively ensure that the client is much better off than they were when we found them. Now, that better off may be enhanced revenue. It may be increased profits. It may be more productivity. It may be streamlined operations. It may be better use of AI. But whatever the mission is, we want to make sure that we connect the advice, the technology, and the tools to those results.
Thank you, Matt. You have hit all the key points for our customers. We at Tegra118 team want to thank you for being a great partner to us. And we're expecting this partnership to grow and help our clients achieve all the KPIs you've just shared and maximize the ROI from the investment in technology from Tegra118. Thank you once again and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Tito.